Hey, it's the Mass Sellout. Don't worry, the 60 to 90 second punchline is incoming. And you know what's one of my favorite things when reading a manga or watching an anime? Being like, wow, I can list 10 different things that look just like this. If the title was confusing in terms of where I'm going with this, anime and manga, due to its huge spike in popularity in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a surplus of new series that we have access to. Unfortunately, going through most of these feels like going through many Souls-like games, massively disappointing and losing me within the first 5 minutes. A feeling I did not have at all with Soul Eater. As soon as you enter the world of Soul Eater, it stays with you. Of course, eventually the strong personalities of the characters and memorable arcs and fights do it, but before that even, the color of the sky, the city itself, the sun during the day and the moon during the night, the world building and style of Soul Eater is like great music in a video game or series. It sticks with you, even if it's been years since you visited it. Now, I don't think Soul Eater is the only series to get it right. Dorohedoro, Land of the Lustrous, Chainsaw Man, Mob Psycho. There are plenty of good examples of what I think so many series seem to not care for at all because they don't need to. A unique style. Sometimes something is unique at first and becomes a massive success, so then magazines and studios look and push things that are like said series since it's less of a risk. However, the increasing amount of times that gets done, the more and more it seems to be watered down. We as the audience might have some blame because we keep pumping money into it. As a great philosopher once said, any good fad comes with its fair share of bootlegs.
Now I want you to tell me a better life than being turned into a sentient mushroom. Shut up, you can't. To make it even better, you've been isekai'd into a small town, beautiful and surrounded by women, and you get to live the adventurer's dream. To top it all off, there is a collaboration going on at this very moment with That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, providing new stories, gameplay, and achievements for you to get. The game already has plenty to do in regards to fishing, which is my personal favorite, blacksmithing, a magic farm, other activities, and interacting with a plethora of characters. My favorite being Isalitra, because I just really love ballet and no other reasons. You can enjoy your time with characters by checking out their costumes and even dating. So make sure you use the QR code or the link below to support my channel and use my gift code MUSHRUM for 10 times free draws and more.
Now, being unique doesn't automatically make something good, but it adds an undeniable charm. It's a visual form of entertainment, and the privilege to bring a vision to life and have it shared with the world is the blood of the creator. Seeing that blood spilled in vain for me is frustrating. There is nothing new under the sun, and seeing the inspiration of a series takes from another is not what I'm referring to either. My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, or any popular shonen that people might lump in as hyper-generic, I understand the writing in those series is honestly more the discussion there, but in terms of style, each of those series and their characters can mostly be recognized by their silhouette. Granted, popularity has something to do with that, but it is undeniable no matter how you feel about those series, the mangaka can be associated with that work. You can see that an individual soul was poured into this. In Jujutsu Kaisen's case, it was Akutami's hatred. Seriously, that man hates his children like a Mexican parent. With something like Soul Eater, the very essence of the author can be felt in everything, from the concepts of the weapons and the fighting, the design of the characters, the feeling of the world itself. I haven't seen Soul Eater, the anime, in almost a decade, and yet it stuck with me far more than so many of the other things that I have to read. And the fact that it was able to stand out during a time period like was manga in the 2000s is extremely impressive considering all the heavy hitters that came out during that time. Contrast that with the litany of isekai that come out every season, and it's not just isekai, and there are some good ones of course, but the sheer amount of ones that seem to be trying their hardest to blend in are relying on a cheaply absurd premise to garner attention. It doesn't feel like a person made this and put a piece of themselves into what they made, but instead it feels like shit that's being pushed by a studio for the sakes of it, and I'd assume money, but surely it can't be enough to justify the sheer amount that's being pumped out. This is pretty bad in anime and manga since the explosive impact SAO made, but over in the manhwa sphere it's not much better. Solo Leveling, back when I read it, I thought it was a pretty cool series for about 80 chapters, but the amount of manhwa being pushed by platforms that are blatant copy and paste of the things that made Solo Leveling appealing has poisoned the well for a medium that was seen as an alternate option for manga readers. I think it is worth clarifying that I do think all because something is oversaturated does not mean it cannot be done well still. Again, I thought Solo Leveling was pretty enjoyable, and Hardcore Leveling had a lot of soul to it, if you will. I just wish there was a word filter on manga sites where I could take out the word level, hero, world, or life. If I had a gun to your head and you had to guess the silhouette of these 5 characters, assuming you had seen or read a decent amount of manga and anime, you might have a pretty good chance of surviving. Versus a silhouette of these 5, your chances of survival just dropped massively. I envy people who could put it aside for more than a few episodes. The same soundtracks, the same medieval fantasy armor and castles, and street vendors and grassy hills, the same leveling up system, the same dark-haired main character who needs to explain every little fucking detail in his internal monologue. Could I not be spoon-fed? The same perv humor Japan has been gargling on since the creation of Earth, it seems. I'm aware that some people aren't a fan of the series like Blam, but when you read, and again, maybe I find myself in a weird position because like I kind of have to look through a lot of this stuff to find something interesting to then make a video out of. So I have gone through quite a lot. And when you read something that spoon feeds you over and over and over again, you find something that just throws you in the dark and is like, figure it out for yourself, and feels like you're allowed to breathe air for once. Look, if I have to see one more YouTube short pop up talking about how this character has max aura and it's another shitty webtoon that loses its appeal after one chapter, I might commit a few war crimes. Although shout out to the channels that do hour-plus recaps of these things, because your willpower is far greater than mine. Like, I'll read one, I'll be like, wow, this would make for a really cool thumbnail and title, but listen, I can only sell out for like a minute and a half, all right? That's all I got. I'm not even really getting into the writing, since there are series that do care about that end, and it's a different discussion, but what is the point of being a visual form of entertainment and not taking advantage of it? Chowder, for fuck's sake, had more personality than most of the things I end up dropping in search for something to recommend that isn't something the wonderful comment section throws at me. It's perfectly okay if you like watching isekai or anything that is considered generic. How you choose to take a break from reality is not for me to decide, and I'm not trying to guilt trip you into feeling like you're not allowed to anymore. But I personally despise being able to perfectly guess what a series is going to do just by looking at it, and investing time into something that fails to keep me invested, constantly being hit with visual cues that break immersion every chance it gets. In most anime that come out today, Excalibur is this weapon that some loser gets after grinding for an eternity in one episode, and is this great old weapon that beats everything he encounters. In Soul Eater, Excalibur is an annoying piece of shit. Even smaller things like shooting 2 pistols with your pinkies is something that visually leaves a bit of a staple in somebody's mind. Something like Dorohedoro pushes the envelope even further, where if you just looked at the characters and their designs without any context, I'd be impressed if you could perfectly guess who was on the good guy side and who was on the bad guy side, well, at least for the beginning of the series. But maybe I'm a little cranky after watching the Uzumaki anime, something that was a testament to taking the risk for a unique style, a wonderful showcase of what can be done with horror anime, for one episode. Hell's Paradise is also massively disappointing in comparison to the manga, but that is a whole different rabbit hole. Manga like Red Riding Hood gets axed, but the hero who seeks revenge shall exterminate with darkness is still ongoing with 97 chapters, and I understand it's different magazines, but this has to be some form of hate crime against creativity. I love it when the color palette of a piece communicates feeling just as loud as anything the characters say, the expression in the eyes, and given how god-awful dialogue can be in anime, having characters stay silent and allow the art and the style in which the mangaka or anime studio conveys the emotion can be super impactful. It's not just creativity. Creativity is important, but that feeling that something authentic is being made can be felt, which along with nostalgia gives a lot of power to anime that came out 20 plus years ago. I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about what makes a character amazing in terms of what is being written, but if I only cared about that, I would have turned into a book channel a long time ago, and my thumbnails would be taken out of context way more on Twitter. But I'm genuinely passionate about Blam, JoJo's, Dorohedoro, Gurren Lagann, Soul Eater, Dragon Ball, One Piece, for being pieces of a person's mind and soul that allows me to be inspired and helps millions of people around the world take a break and dream. There's a quote by Urasawa, my favorite mangaka ever, that encapsulates what makes manga so special, but I think the essence of it can be applied to anime as well. The interviewer says, unfortunately, we only have time for one more question, so I would like to ask a pretty broad, open-ended one. What can manga do as a medium that no other art form can? Urasawa responds, quote, let's take another format, the movie for example. You have a massive budget and so many different people involved. It takes years to gather all the sponsors, get the casting just right. There's so many players involved to create just one product. With manga, all you really need is a white piece of paper and a pen. No other medium lets you translate your imagination into visuals as fast as manga. Manga can take you to the other side of the universe in an instant. Manga can take you to a distant future with spectacular technology, or to the far past where there were dinosaurs. I truly believe that no other medium allows creators to express their feelings as efficiently as manga." End quote. So what can every anime and manga learn, not just from Soul Eater, but the plethora of series that carry a piece of its creator? It doesn't matter if it's the character designs, the backgrounds, or even the sun and moon in your world. Make something that people can attribute to a soul.